It's a pleasure having you, and it's an honor. First of all, talk me through your journey. I know it's a long journey, and I'm sure you've gone through a lot of stuff. And yeah, talk me through it. We want to know, and it'll be very helpful for others too.
Thank you. Well, Chaminda, I don't know that we are very dear friends with each other because I love what you do for me and for our business. But what I would say to you is you probably haven't heard this story, so I'll give it to you because I think it's a very valuable one. When I grew up, my father was a significant entrepreneur. And so at our lunch or dining room table, when we're having discussions, he'd say, "It's great if you get a job, Jackalyn, but you have to own your own business."
Wow.
So I started out being told that entrepreneurship was the way to go.
Wow.
I then did get some jobs. I was a teacher for a number of years in a junior high and high school. I was a counselor in a school. And then I went back and got my master's and doctorate in counseling. And I did those because I began to see that I was restricted in what all I could do in schools. So I wanted to be more advanced in what I'd be able to do with people. I also spent 25 years as a member of National Training Lab Institute. So I ran President's Labs and Management Labs. I ran Personal Growth Labs. So I have a lot of experience in training people, and I've been in business 47 years. It'll be 48 in September because I started my business. And I'll tell you what happened to me. I had been in the school system in Austin, Texas, and had been trained by Region 13 how to work with special ed students. And I came to Houston and I only knew two people. And I met both of them, and I started my therapy practice here in Houston with a card table and 4 chairs. And then after the card table and 4 chairs, I moved in with a very dear friend of mine who I practiced with him for many, many years. And he and I built a small business that had 3 support people and 4 therapists. And I was also the organizational development consultant with them as well. And then we moved to a larger facility, and we ended up at a 10,000 square foot office in the Galleria. Wow. And then things changed, as things do in the economy. And so then I shifted and started looking for other things. And after 18 years of therapy, I said, I'm going to move into the coaching world more and work in organizations. And so that's what I did. I'm grateful for the move. I'm glad that I have the background in therapy because one of my clients just 2 weeks ago said to me, "You are the most comprehensive coach I've ever met." He said, "Today, you helped me understand the reason that one of my family members needs ADD medication. Then you helped me develop a very strong, and finished it today, a market dominating position strategy for my business. And then I asked you for some assistance with one of my employees, and you gave me some recommendations for what I could do with him." And he said, "I've never had a coach that has the extensive background you do." And I said, "Thank you. After all these years, I do accept finally with great humility that I do have a lot of wisdom about how people can change their lives and their organizations." So today I have DTP-Leadership Group, which we can talk about in a moment because you know a lot about it. And then also DTP Business Strategies. We added that 2 years ago. Because I could see that I needed to add something that gave a clear financial description of where a company is with their revenues and profits. So that's the reason I did it. And I'm thankful for all the years. And people ask me now, when are you going to retire? I'm saying, I'm never going to retire. I'm an entrepreneur.
Of course.
I love what I do. I transform people's lives and organizations. And I enjoy watching them achieve the things they want and the dreams they have. So that would be the short version. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you very much. So that's very helpful. So let's get to DTP leadership and DTP business strategies. Could you explain what you do with those? And then we'll get to the, I know you do a lot of stuff like podcasts. You have a charity organization, Women Advancing Women. You have assessments, habitual patterns assessment. So we'll get to those later. But to start with, DTP leadership and DTP business strategies. Could you explain what you do and how you serve in there, please?
Okay, I'll be happy to do that. What I would say to you is we have 8 service lines. I've been struggling with it, trying to figure out how to say it, but that's what we have. We have 8 service lines. I think one of the ones that I would mention first is we are famous for emotionally connecting people to themselves and to be very clear about the difference between emotions and feelings and managing those, and then our thoughts. The reason we do that in the beginning with almost every organization we work with or any executive clients we have is that I don't change my behavior, Chaminda, unless I'm emotionally connected and have some kind of feeling, either I'm distressed or not pleased, or I don't like what's going on in my life. And so I don't change the behaviors I need to change unless I feel something. And I gave a speech yesterday at the Heights Chamber here in Houston. It was very short, but one of the things I said to him is emotions start in our body. The emotions start. We then think about a feeling word that describes what we're feeling, and then it triggers more of the thoughts that are related to the feelings. And I don't think people understand how much emotions are very important to us because we don't have the thought first. Yeah, we have a stirring in our body, Chaminda, and that emotional energy starts, and then we name what the feelings are. And if we process through them, then we have much clearer thought patterns. And we don't do things that are unhealthy for us personally, in our relationships, or professionally in the world, in the industry. And so that's one of the things that I think is very important about us. Another thing is that we have an habitual patterns assessment that really gives a very clear message about 17 different groups of behavior. And what I want to describe about that is that the 17 different groups of behavior, they're habits that people do. They work too much. They drive themselves. They become emotionally disconnected. They get overinvested in relationships. There are many things on our habitual patterns assessment. And one of the things, I'll pause for a moment and say, we are very blessed to have you and your team, because you're the ones that finally were able to put the assessment together, which is very complex. It is on our website, and it's very well done. And I want to thank all your technical staff and everyone else. So be sure that let them know that I mentioned it, because you did a heck of a job in helping us get that on. But what I like about the assessment, it gives people an understanding of what they're doing that is destructive for them to be doing. And I can also tell them if it's a habit or it's become an addictive pattern. And addictive patterns then affect me personally, professionally, and in my relationships. They're going to affect me more. The habits are easier to change. The addictions they're a little challenging, let's say.
Yeah.
But I think another thing about Liz Cloud and I are the founders of DTP Leadership. And we're both certified masters with the Leadership Challenge. There are only about 101 of us in the world. So we adopted the Leadership Challenge because it's the best research leadership program in the world. Nobody can touch them. Their habitual patterns assessment, not their habitual pattern, excuse me, I slipped into my previous discussion there. The leadership practice inventory, which they've developed, which identifies how people are leading, and it's a 360, has been tested in 189 countries all over the world.
Yeah.
So as a PhD, it matters to me. I know the validity and reliability of this assessment are excellent, and it is non-biased. And you can't see that much. So to me, the Leadership Challenge, what it really does is it teaches everyone in the organization how to model the way, inspire shared vision, challenge the process, enable others to act and grow and change, and then to encourage people's hearts. And what I see, there is an 18% increase in revenue and profits when a company invests in letting us train them and their staff about the Leadership Challenge. So that's another thing. I think another thing we do really well, because I've been doing it over 50 years, because I started when I was in college. In some states in the United States, unfortunately, we can't talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. But, it doesn't matter because all of us are still doing the work. We call ours cultural competency, diversity, and social justice. The reason we use those three words is because we have assessments that can determine how culturally competent an organization is. The second thing is that I have spent years with National Training Lab Institute and many other organizations appreciating and showing the value and benefit of appreciating diversity. I think yours and my relationship is a good example of diversity. I'm very pleased with the staff that come from Sri Lanka. It's a privilege to meet them. I enjoy working with you. You live in London. But we have all kinds of diverse backgrounds and knowledge and experience, and that's what you bring to us. And then that's what we bring to you. So to me, cultural competency is extremely important. Another thing we do is that Liz and I both, along with our partners, all of our partners have been able to be executive coaches for some reason in whatever their specialty is. Because we're an interesting company because we have someone that's a VP in a recruiting company. We have a banker who helps people get loans. It's, they're adding to what we do with DTP. So our executive coaching, I think, is very different from a lot of them because we have the habitual patterns assessment. We can exactly tell the executive what they're not doing that's helpful and develop their EQ, because we know 90% of the success of any leader is based on their ability to be emotionally connected and have a high EQ. So we develop those things, but we also have the ability to do some other things I'll talk about in a minute with their business. Another thing we've been well known for and we're certified with is I have several of us that are partners as well, that we are certified with visionary dream coaching or some form of dream